Alright, what's going on? So, we're back. We're going to talk about oyster mushrooms a bit. Alright, so I've made past videos about the oyster mushroom, but I'm going to take a bit more time to really get into them today. So, this is the oyster mushroom. Alright, they come in clusters. Okay? They can get to be pretty big. Decent sized clusters, decent sized mushrooms on them. All right. The main thing that you want to actively deal with when it comes to cooking oyster mushrooms is this stem right here. All right. Now, not to sound like a old broken record, but you're going to have to cut or score these. You're going to have to marinate these to soften them up. Because this is not something you want to just be chewing through. Alright, so what are some of the ways that we can deal with the stem? First and foremost, we can just come to the stem just like this. Alright, we can come to it just like this. This is what I mean when I say you can just cut them. I don't know if that's clear or not. This is what I mean when I say you can just cut the stems, okay? If you want to get real fancy with it, I like to cut them right down the center just like that. That way, you know, now it's a lot thinner than it was even beforehand, okay? Something like this is going to be way easier for you to chew through. It's going to cook a lot easier, and you're not going to be too off-put by the end result, okay? The second way that we can come at them, this is what I mean when I say score. So I'm just going to take this is the whole root of the oyster mushroom, right? And I'm just going to come at it just like this. I'm not going to cut through it. I'm just going to make little slits inside of it, okay? So you see that, how it's just got just little tic-tac-toe squares up in it. This is what I mean when I say to score them. Alright, so to cut through them, to score them. Now, when would you use these? So when you're deep frying your mushrooms, if you haven't marinated them, you would do something like this. If you're going to pan fry them, or even just like, you know, saute them, you want to do something like this. That way the stem actually cooks at the same rate that the rest of the mushroom cooks. If you're more interested in maybe using the whole mushroom and you want to like sear it where you just have it on one side, cook one side, then cook it the other way, you would do something like this. Having the stems cut and scored like this is also going to allow all of your like flavor, marinade, seasonings to get more inside of the mushrooms, rather than, you know, all of this being bland. You've actually cut into the mushroom, so of course the flavor is going to go inside of the mushroom. And let me backtrack for a bit. The way that we clean these, it is perfectly fine to run these underwater, okay? It's perfectly fine. Now, you can be real tedious with them and take a wet paper towel and wipe them off. You know, you will wipe this, you will wipe underneath, but you see, you got to get all the way through them. I probably need to rinse these a little bit more. You're going to have to get all through these. You could also take like a brush. You could also take a brush and get through them too. And just lightly get through the bristles on the mushrooms. And it'll get rid of any excess dirt. Okay, so another way that we can have these, and let me see if I can find a decent sized piece. Okay, so a piece like this. So another way that we're going to take these, we're just going to take it and just tear it in half right there. Okay, you see that? So if you're looking for like sandwiches, like crisps or something like that, you can deep fry these the exact same way. Batter them up, flour them up, you'll be good to go. You can still saute these. You can still pan fry them. All that still works with these. This is going to be for maybe the person that's not too familiar with the oyster mushroom, but would like to give it a go. Say you only got one pack of mushrooms, but you got a couple of kids and you want to, kind of spread it out. You could go from having, one of these to having like 20 different strips that you can work with, children will probably get full off of these a lot faster and have more to eat than if you were just to give them this whole mushroom and they kind of sit and say, oh, well, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all can hear that. These hold on to a lot of water too. So one of the things that I will do once I'm done rinsing them is I'll kind of just set them to the side while I get everything else prepared. And that way, like I'll even like set them in the fridge or something, just so that I know that they're dry. You stay nice and cold rather than just sitting out next to the hot stove. You can leave them whole. Ain't no shame in just leaving them whole, just rinsing them off. Something like this, I would still cut and score it. And if anything, what I would do instead is I would come to the stem and I would just stab at the stem. And I would just stab at the stem. So I don't know if you can see, like, there's little slits in there now, but yeah, I would just take small little stabs at the stem and I would marinate them. One of the key things you want to look for, whether you're buying a marinade, and they'll most likely have it in there, or whether you're making your own marinade, is you want to make sure that you're using like a vinegar or that you're using limes. So vinegar and lime, what they're both going to do is break down the stem, and they're going to make it a lot softer. As they sit and marinate, they're going to intake that flavor, of course. The stem is going to break down and be a lot softer for you to eat and chew through. What else? And then, of course, you can chop them down. I'll just take these 3 pieces. You can chop them down and use them as grounds, to replace your ground meat. The oyster mushroom was one of the mushrooms that we used to replace chicken. You could probably also use it to replace like fish as well too, maybe like shrimps or something, if you were to like, maybe like even leave it this size, but then give it like sea flavorings with like kelp, sea salt, nori or sushi wraps, bladder wrap, things like that. Is there anything else? Not really. The different ways that we can cook them. You don't always have to deep fry these, my nigga. You ain't always got to deep fry them, alright? You can saute them. You can pan fry them. You can bake them. You can boil them. Mushrooms get used a lot to create like broths. You can go up in the store now and get you a mushroom broth outside of a vegetable broth. If you've ever gone to like a hot pot restaurant, let me actually get to taking care of these like I said I was going to do. You can go to like a hot pot restaurant and I was getting oyster mushrooms and I'm thinking like, well, how the hell they gonna cook these? And sure enough, they was sitting right up in a pot, freshly boiled. I said, well, I ain't never had nothing like this before. So I started doing it at home for myself. And what did I use it for? I used it for, you best believe, I used it for like a soup. You trying to get your kids back and healthy, making them like a nice chicken noodle soup or whatever. Use the oyster mushrooms. You still throw you in some celery, onions, and carrots. Season it up with some thyme, some rosemary, some celery salt. You know what I'm saying? Onion powder, garlic powder. You know how to do that. Shoot. The oyster mushroom is probably the next mushroom that is maybe, well, it is becoming a new staple amongst homes and families. Y'all get away from that. Get away from that. Moving stuff all around. It's the next mushroom that's becoming a lot more stabilized. I don't know what the hell that word was supposed to be, but much more like the next staple of being inside of the kitchen for people that are vegan, have transitioned over, or just looking for healthier ways to eat for themselves and want to incorporate mushrooms. These mushrooms themselves, they don't technically have a taste to them. They will take on any taste that you give them. You'll more so smell them when you're cooking them, if anything. Anything else? Okay, so one of the places that you want to go to when you're buying these. Now, I know your favorite stores and your favorite, natural stores that's in a nice part of the neighborhood or in a nice part of the downtown area be having them, but baby, they be trying to sell these motherfuckers for like $10 a pack. Who got that? You know what I'm saying? Who's just trying to go up in some place and half of the groceries that you done bought, you spent half of that money on just one pack of mushrooms. So what you really want to do, what you really want to do is get your ass up in them Asian markets and supermarkets, international stores, because you could get a pack of these, like these 2 packs. I don't know if you can tell, I've already chopped these down clearly. And then all that's inside here, this is like 2 packs, and this was maybe $10 itself. I think both of the packs was like $4 and some change altogether. Yeah, you wanna definitely go inside of the international stores and purchase them there, because you get more bang for your buck. Look at me trying to figure out what to do, child. I ain't got enough counter space. And you sitting on my foot? Boy, you just sitting on my foot? Trying to get these out of the way. So same procedures when it comes to actually cooking these oyster mushrooms. Make sure that the pot you're working with is nice and hot. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know what the protocols would be for if you're using different types of pans. All of the pans that I use are cast iron or stainless steel. And then I've got one Dutch oven. So, that's made of clay. I don't know exactly how you will go about making sure that those pans don't burn at the bottom or anything like that. So when I say, all that like cooking them on a high heat and stuff, get you a nice cast iron. I think everybody should have a cast iron. I look at cast iron and I feel like I've either read this somewhere or seen it where they said that, either heaven is held up by like iron columns, or the floor of heaven is made of iron, something like that. I do look at iron as like a metal of the heavens. You want to throw a little bit of mythology and a little bit of magic inside your pots. Get you a nice iron, of course. Iron is iron. You're a little bit low on it. Start cooking with them. You know what I'm saying? Is there anything else I want to talk about when it comes to these? Is there anything else? I showed y'all the different ways to cut them. I showed y'all the different ways to prepare them. I'll definitely talk to y'all about cooking with a hot enough pot. I think that's about it. I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to go for. I even told y'all where to look for and where to get them from. Yeah, don't be up inside. And it's no shade to Whole Foods. It's no shade to, your Elwood, Thompsons, and your Wegmans and your upscale Marts and all of that. But baby, they all sell the same shit. You feel me? They all sell the same shit under a different name and under a different price because they got the okay to do it. Get your ass up in that motherfucking Asian market up the street from all that shit. Peep what they got up in there, and you better leave out of there with a pack of motherfucking mushrooms. You feel me? Alright? So I think that's all I got for y'all. I will be back another time to talk about some more mushrooms and to kind of just chat. I really appreciate that y'all was sending me those comments and messages to the posts that I asked earlier. That was some dope shit. I'm gonna have to do that some more. So, alright, y'all. Like I said, that's the oyster mushroom. I'll catch y'all.